Hi, so this short video started out with text that I found in the depths of my iPhone, which is the one on the screens, little glasses. And then, with hasty hands and sparkling eyes, we would stuff these fading seconds into little glasses. We would carefully close the lid and put them on the shelves above our bed. There they would shine like the little starlit sky, illuminating the paths that hang so foggy within the future we dared to chase. And that's basically what I tried to visualize, because I've been trying to get my Eevee game, strength from my Eevee game. So I used this as an excuse to practice that and make like a little thing, a little animation, because that would take forever in cycles and it wouldn't look as shiny and glowy. So I'm quickly going to share that process, what I learned and what I've done and how I've done it. So here's my setup. It's pretty simple, just like a few wooden boards and shelves. And I made like a lot of different jars. And within those jars, a few have like some animation in that, and a few is just some static object. But like there's a lot of colorful light there, which from that text in the beginning was my inspiration. And here you can see how I like animated these kind of fireflies things, like light sources that I gave like a shape of fireflies, and I basically just keyframed them around. And the main thing I looked at was that the beginning and the last frame were the same. Keyframe were the same, so it's kind of looping. It's not perfect because they weirdly spin around towards the end. I didn't spend too much time on it because again it was just testing out stuff, practicing. Yeah, so that is like the main jar, which is right in the center of the frame that moves around. And then I made another one, just like a ball that bounces up and down, because I wanted to have like a few light sources in those jars that move around in some way. So here I created these kind of spinning things, and I also had created some kind of dust particles that would float in front of them. So I just created a few spheres and made one, like two objects basically, and then I just rotated and moved them a little bit and keyframed them, and they give it makes like this nice kind of floating look of it. I kind of like it. There's no depth to it. There's all basically on one plane. So maybe for a future, I would like create some more depth to it. And in terms of the material, I found like a really nice Eevee glass material tutorial, which I link, so you can check it out yourself. But it's basically pretty cool. Because what I struggle with Eevee is like that you can't look through in normal glass shading settings. So with that setup, it not just like creates this kind of breaking the light up into like the red, green, and blue. It also lets you see through, and that's quite useful. Again, check out the video. It's really nice and quick and super useful and well done. So I've learned a lot by doing that, and I applied it here into my little scene with my fireflies and different things. I also animated like a light source on the top to create like kind of more ambience in the scene. I kind of like that effect that glass has. It doesn't look too real, but that from the text, from that initial text, it was kind of dreamy anyway, and I think that gives it this kind of dreamy feeling to it, which I kind of like. So I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, there's so much improvement still to go, but for me, like trying to set up my Eevee for first time and not having like the most powerful computer I'm quite happy with that. In terms of like the materials I used for the wood, I just slapped on like a free polygon.com texture I have, which is like from a wood. And for the HDRI, I used the blender, one of the default blender ones. In the previous video, I explained how I use those. I just lowered the strength to like 0.1, I guess, and used mainly those light sources here to light the scene. So like a cold one from the right and a warmer one from the left, and the top light that sways a little bit to create these. You can see it here. It sways a little bit to create a little bit of ambience, and like as if like a light bulb would like sway slowly, gently forward and back. So that is basically the main stage, and then I put it on those jars with the different animations here, like the dust particles in front of it, which again, as I said before, they just like on one plane. So for the future, I might like maybe spread them in the depth as well, and not just having on one plane. But because it's like a pretty front-on view, it works quite well. It's like a little thing that creates movement in the scene, which is quite interesting. So here you can see them move all together, the little fireflies, the dust and the ball and everything. I tried to like get my Eevee setting right, because as you can see in the shadow on the floor, it's way too dark. There's no like light going through, which is a little not as realistic as it should be. But I still haven't figured that out yet, how to make light go through. But I think it's getting quite interesting, and I kind of like that glass setup for Eevee, because that's what I've always like struggled. Like it always looked bad, or like the refraction was like really distorted and unrealistic. So with that setup now, at least you can like see through, and like in this case see the little fireflies bounce around inside, which is basically what I wanted from that animation, from that initial text. This kind of dreamy vibe of capturing some things and stuff and saving them, and like, yeah, it's a little poetic, but it was a nice practice, and nice experiment with Eevee. In cycles, it definitely wouldn't have looked that good in terms of like the glow and everything, at least for the way I can do it now at that moment. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you found that interesting. If I do find out more of those little things and learn these things, I try to like capture them in video and share them, because I think there's like stuff in there that could be useful for anybody who is starting out with Eevee. So yeah, here again, the final animation took me quite long to render it out, even though it's Eevee. So yeah, please comment if you found that useful, interesting, and thank you. Bye.